Hey, what is up guys, this is Cobrak and you probably just bought Age of Wonders 4 and have no idea what you're doing. So in this video, all I'm going to be doing is starting off a brand new game with my faction leader here, Wulfric the Wanderer, a custom character that I just made representing the Norskins, good Warhammer inspired faction here of human barbarians. We're going to be jumping into a new game here and just talking through what we are doing, talking through the process of getting started on the world map for the first time, introducing you to what all of the resources do and what the general early game gameplay loop is going to look like in the early turns. So boom, we are in a game. I'm just going to hit escape right now, speed this up a little bit. And yeah, you're going to see stuff like this, what your starting magic is. Very lovely. You want to be taking a read of these if you're not familiar with what your various spells do. Some of these are combat spells, some can be used on the world map and stuff. Yeah. Okay. First of all, the first thing you want to be doing is just zooming all the way out on the world map like so, just so you can kind of get an idea of where you are on the world stage. This can help you decide what kind of areas you want to explore first, what kind of areas you want to expand into, and the like. So, next thing you want to do is pick up your scouting unit. As you can see right here, we have our main army right here with Wulfric the Wanderer and his little barbarian horde that is gathered up with him. And we have our scouting unit. What you will also notice is that the scout unit can move further away from our city than our Lord's army. And the reason for that is scout units have crazy movement range. As you can see right here, there's a little number 48 above this scout's unit card. That represents movement points. It dictates how far you can move on the world map, how far you can move in battles. Various terrain makes it so that you can travel a little bit slower, or sometimes a lot slower. For example, if I was to take this scout in this direction, I can travel super far. However, if I try and take him directly over the mountains, yes, while he can do that to an extent, it's much more expensive and much more costly to the old movement points. I think some terrain is just impassable, but rough terrain like this, like these hilltops and stuff, yeah, I can travel far less further here. So anyways, what you're going to want to do is take your scout, and you're just going to want to start picking up various things that you can see around your city. Like right here, we have a little interactable, which is a production stash. So we're just going to head on over here. Bam. Collect that, pick up some extra production for our city. And that is grand. I can see something shiny over here as well. And you're just looking to explore with your scout, right? Kind of get your bearings, take some peeking around, see where there are enemies. Okay, there is an enemy sitting on top of here as well. Lots of enemies starting near us here. My next turn, I'll send the scout back over this way. So yeah, that's what you want to be doing with your scout units early on. Get your bearings, pick up all of the little collectibles that you can see. A lot of them are going to be guarded by units and enemies, so that is something to be aware of as well. And that's what our Lord's army's for actually clearing these guys out of our immediate lands and making safe the realm and all of that good stuff. So, first things first. Quick resource breakdown. These are all pretty simple, to be honest, so I won't spend too long on them. Up here, right in the top left, we have our knowledge points, and you gain some income on this every single turn, based on what buildings you have and what expansions you've picked up and stuff like that. You can find little pockets of knowledge out on the world map with your scout and collect those. These will all give you knowledge points that work you towards research. And we actually have down here, in the bottom right of the screen, a little kind of queue of things that are recommended for us to take care of, and one of them is set arcane research. So yeah, you will get reminders like this, letting you know when you still need to research something, or if a unit hasn't moved yet, and stuff like that. So this is just really nice to be aware of. So we're going to go ahead and set our arcane knowledge. I'm not going to go too much into these. These are all various spells that you can cast either on the world map or in the battles or whatever. Some of them are new units, like this White Witch. Explore these yourself. I won't go ahead and recommend too much what you should pick up early here, other than, generally speaking, things like the Wayfinder enchantment are just pretty good to pick up early, because these are going to boost our scouts' movement speed even more. So, yeah. Cool. We will start learning that, and that's what our knowledge points are now going to be going towards. It's going to take roughly 4 turns in order to complete this research. Next up, you have Imperium points, but I'm not going to get into these just yet. I will get into them just a little bit from now. Whispering Stones, I also won't touch on these just yet. Not important right now. We have a little kind of tracker keeping track of our city cap. This can be increased a little bit, I believe, as the game goes on, but early game you will be capped out at 3 settlements. Pretty self-explanatory. Next we have our gold income. This is used for building buildings in our cities and building new units within those cities. Next up we have mana. This is used for simply casting spells and summoning units. It's also worth bearing in mind that every time you summon a new combat unit, for example, take something in this army, if I was to fill up this last slot of this army with, say, summoned golems or summoned whatever, they will cost mana every turn in order to maintain. It might be a very, very low amount. It might be like 6 or 7 or 8 mana. It might be a lot more than that, depending on the quality of the unit. So you do want to be careful that you're not running yourself dry on mana by spamming like 6 or 7 summoned units in the early game. Just something to be aware of. You don't want to run dry on this. Mana is very, very important for casting your spells, both in battles and on the world map. Next up, you have world map casting points. And this is just so that you're not spamming like a billion spells every turn. Because that would just kind of be OP, right? If you could just switch it on. Cast a billion things, wipe out a couple of armies, summon a bunch of new armies, all using your spells. That would be sort of OP, so you do have a casting cap. That, yeah, you're going to learn about pretty quickly as time goes on. So, just following my little queue of stuff to do down here in the bottom right, we need to set production in Hartheim, which is our main city here. So if I just click on this, it will actually take me to the city build queue and stuff like that. Right here, we can see all of the resources that our city is producing. It's producing some things like gold, mana per turn, a little bit of knowledge per turn, and a little bit of Imperium, which again, we'll get into in a little bit. And it's also producing some resources that are kind of limited to the city itself, right? These are food, production, and draft. Food increases the rate at which the city is able to grow and expand its borders and things like that. Production increases the rate at which you are building things in the city. So for example, right here, you can see if I wanted to build this town hall rank 2 here, it would actually take 7 turns, which is quite a long time. Whereas building a more minor building like the shrine would cost 3 turns. This is sped up by production. And last, the draft increases the rate at which you are able to build new units from the city. Down here, we have the buildings menu with this button right here. So you can choose what you're building. And a little bit further down, we have the unit recruitment tab, which we can use to build right now either scouts, I don't know what the Sunderers are, skirmish unit, and some warriors, shielded warriors, actually, which does matter as well. So, yeah. First things first, pretty good idea in the early game. I'm just going to queue up a new scout, and I tell you what, we'll probably just queue up a new skirmisher as well. Because why not? As for buildings, I generally like to build either the workshop or the storehouse first. The workshop gives us more production, so we can, increase our build speed. The storehouse gives us more food income, which increases the rate at which the city is growing. I think in this case, I'm going to go ahead and elect for the storehouse. So, with turn 1 almost complete, there's one thing left to do, and that is to actually move our last military army right here with Wulfric. So what I'm going to do here is head on down. We're going to take out this army just because it's the closest to us. Can't quite reach them yet. And bam! Turn 1 is down. Easy as that. Other stuff will move. Nice. No lag. Very, very quickly done. Again, we can just move all of our stuff again here. There's not really too much for us to do at this stage. And I tell you what, I'm actually going to take this scout this way and just look around a bit more. And it looks like we're coming to some woods down here. I guess I'll forge on through the woods. Okay, there's some ruins down here that we can eventually explore. The Silver Pond. Interesting stuff. And it's battle time. So, right-click on this guy. Generally speaking, you're going to want to be just clicking the auto combat button most of the time. You might want to jump in and do manual combat if you wish. It's something you can experiment with early on as you're learning. In fact, I'd actually recommend that you do manual combat most of the time, but generally you're going to start to fall into a pattern of hitting auto combat first, which will auto-resolve the battle. And if you don't like the result, like if too many of your guys take too much damage or start dying or whatever, and you don't want them to die, you can hit retry, and that will give you the chance of replaying the battle in manual mode if you wish. Right now, that's a good result. We cleared off these idiots out of our goddamn territory. And everybody's happy as Larry. So, what we're getting right here is a notification in the bottom right that you're going to get very, very early on as well, and that is notifying us that Hartheim can annex its first province. So this is the way in which you expand your city's borders. So if you go ahead and click on this, it will show us which provinces we can expand these city borders into by building something on them. Now, early on, I'd highly recommend just prioritizing food and don't worry too much about it. There are ways that you can min-max this as the game goes on, but you know what? As a beginner, don't sweat it too much. I'm going to go ahead and just build a farm in this province right here, because generally speaking, food and extra production from the iron deposit that is in this province right here is just really, really good for an early growing city. So that's what we're going to do. And as you can see now, our borders have expanded. We've claimed more territory with this city. Now, one thing that you're going to become aware of pretty quickly as the turns begin to rack up is that the more you expand your city and the bigger your cities get, the less stable your cities are going to become. You're going to want to keep an eye on this modifier right here. The more you expand your city, which is called domain, as you can see right here, you actually begin to lose stability in the city for every new province that you expand your city into. We just built that farm right there, which is this farm right here. And as you can see, that's giving us a -5 stability modifier on this city. So the bigger your city gets, the less stable it becomes. Now, you can keep your cities stable and happy by building various buildings, so that's something to be aware of as well. I'm not going to go into too much detail with those. Just keep an eye on your city's stability and try and keep it somewhat under control. Something else I will touch on now, just really, really briefly, is the actual spell casting button down here. If you actually just click on this, you will get a breakdown of your available spells, broken down into strategic spells, of which we have none right now. And strategic spells are the kind that you can cast while actually out on the world map, whereas tactical spells are the type you can actually cast while in a manual battle. And again, I'm not really going to go into manual battles in this video. That's something you can explore yourself. And yeah, not mega ultra important or super difficult to, begin to learn the basics of that in a beginner video, I don't think. So let's go ahead and hit end turn. And I believe now, yes, our Empire Development button is now available to hit. This is how we are going to be spending our Imperium. So if I go ahead and click on Empire Development, we will get the Empire, let's call it like a talent tree or like a specialization tree or something like that. And you can spend points in this depending on the affinity of your empire, what forces you lean towards. You can actually track those and see what see how you're doing in terms of affinity up here in the top right of your screen. So we have a little bit of dark, a little bit of chaos, and a little bit of nature, being a barbaric race. And yeah, this is the last time I'm going to take a look at this, because again, this is something you can just explore yourself. I'm more just pointing out that it's there. Don't be surprised when you get pop-ups to start spending your Imperium on things in here. And yeah, these are all just various kind of buffs. For example, right here, founding or absorbing a city takes 2 less turns. Newly founded or absorbed cities gain 1 bonus population to begin with. So lovely little buffs like that. We got some chaos ones down here as well. Units that are tier 1 units cost 30% less, either gold or mana or whatever, to upkeep. Happy little buffs like that, buffs that help support your armies or buff your cities or whatever can all be found in here, and are a pretty standard way of spending your Imperium, unless you are spending it to negotiate with another faction. Speaking of which, let's see if we can discover any nearby factions here. Darn. Looks like we're not going to be able to. Oi, 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 oi. Okay. Actually, I tell you what I'll do. I'm just going to skip forward a few turns. Going to run around here. I'm just going to clear out some of these nearby armies using Wulfric and his boys. We're also making sure that we're continuing to build things in our city here as well. And I'm just going to play a few turns in advance until we eventually meet another faction, and we can talk very, very briefly about interacting with other factions in the game, whether that means peace and friendship or war. God damn it. One thing I will mention as well before we time skip just a little bit is that there is a building boost system in this game. Now, if you've played any Civilization games, you will have a general idea of how this works. But if I go ahead and click on build structure right here, and I mouse over the granary, you will actually see on the tooltip down here at the bottom, what's this? Boost. If I build 2 foresters, then I unlock a boost, which boosting a structure reduces the cost of building the structure by 30%. So it's 30% easier and 30% cheaper to build the granary if I've built 2 foresters. Now, these are pretty easy to unlock. These are just ways that you can kind of min-max your early game to make sure that you're spending as little time as possible getting your early buildings built. You can actually see down here that we've actually already boosted the vendor and the workshop, because in order to do that, we had to build 1 farm, which, as you can see, we've already done right here. So yeah, these are like the little province buildings. We expanded the city, we built a farm, and as such, we were able to boost up, both these buildings right here. So what I'm going to do is just queue these up right away, and they're going to get going as soon as the storehouse is done getting built. So, boost system, just something to be aware of to help, min-max your early game a little bit. Alright man, let's time skip, shall we? Oh, we did not time skip very far. What happened just now is we just won a battle. What does that mean? Well, it means that every now and then after winning a battle, and depending on what kind of battle it is, you can unlock some special rewards. We just unlocked a little bit of production, which is going to speed up our building speed in Hearthheim, and we also unlocked a item. It's just a tier 1 little item here that grants plus 10 maximum hit points. So I can just hit take reward, or I can hit open hero screen. What I'm going to do for the purpose of this demonstration is open, actually, I'm just going to take reward. Then I'm going to go on over to my hero here and manually open the hero screen by right-clicking on my hero's card. Right, this lets you attach new items and stuff to your hero, new buffs, new passives, new trinkets, new weapons, all of that good stuff. As you can see right here, we got a little green exclamation mark. We have a new thing that can be equipped. Oh look, it's the Amulet of Vitality that we just picked up. Click on this, and bam! Over here we just gained plus 10 to our maximum hit points. So Wulfric the Wanderer is now even more tanky than he was before. What an absolute savage. He's a legend of the video game. Okay. I'm just going to continue my hunt now for any nearby free cities. Then I'm going to get back to you guys and talk about using Imperium and your Whispering Stones to interact with other factions. Yay! Alright, brilliant, awesome, cool. We met the curious Extichkalus. Okay, we met some cat people. I'm just going to go ahead and click on this. Let's see if your people are of any interest to us. I just discovered this city here, a free city, down to the bottom left of my main capital with this happy little scout. Now, because this is a free city, that means that we can actually bring it into the fold. It's not a player character or a player lord, for example, you know, like good old Wulfric. Because it's a free city and it has this kind of green border right here, we can actually click on this and we can give them our Whispering Stone. As you can see, we have 1 still ready to use. So we're going to go ahead, give them our Whispering Stone, and what this is going to do is begin to build allegiance steadily up this progress bar with this free city. Unlocking various buffs as you go as well, which you can also mouse over all of these and see exactly what you're getting as you upgrade your relations with the free city. Once you reach the Pact of Vassalage here at the end, this progress bar will reset again, and you'll begin to work towards actually fully integrating this city into your empire and taking control of its ruler and its armies and all of that good stuff. And you can actually start treating the city as your own. You don't have to do that. You can keep the city as simply a vassal that gives you some of its gold every turn, and you don't have to take control of it. You don't have to integrate it into your empire. But yeah, you can do that at the cost of Imperium. What else you can do with the cost of Imperium is actually hit this boost allegiance button right here, and that spends a little bit of Imperium to, if you watch this progress bar right here, bam, to just kind of speed the process up a little bit. You can spend the Imperium if you want every now and again to kind of boost your relations with a free city and just move things along just a little bit faster. And that's generally how you're going to be spending your Imperium. Now, you obviously have the option of just building a swollen army and annihilating the free city and conquering it by force, but that depends on how you want to play the game and what kind of faction you're playing. You know what I'm saying? Alright, a quick addendum. I gotta add a couple of things to the end of this video that I totally forgot about, man. Alright, so, first of all, right up here we got a brigand camp next to our great Imperial Lord, Wulfric. And this brigand camp, as you can see, is surrounded by a red border. What does that mean? It means that it is a problem camp. It is a problem province, right? When you see a kind of red border like this, it means that there's a camp in the area that is going to eventually, though it's asleep right now, as you can see by the Z's, though it's asleep right now, it's eventually going to wake up and start spawning a constant stream of barbarians that are going to spread towards and start harassing our territories and pillaging our territories. So you want to kind of deal with these camps fairly early on. You do get to learn, roughly speaking, how long until the camp wakes up and activates. If you just click on it and it says down here, the infestation will become active in 9 or more turns. It says right here. Sometimes these are urgent. Sometimes you can leave them alone for a little while and be just fine. But yeah, they are something that you generally want to deal with as you run into them, especially if they're quite close to your territory. Next thing that I gotta touch on is actually expanding in this game. So let's, for example, head in this general direction here as Wulfric. And I just kind of poke my head into these woods and, oh look, let's just imagine that this iron deposit that's over here was actually over here instead, because it's a nice little world map resource that when we bring this tile, this province rather, it's actually this province, into our territory, it includes the iron deposit, and so we start gaining temp production from this province. So you kind of want to try to find a nice mineral-rich area with things that you are interested in bringing into your empire before you begin to build a new city. Yes, because acquiring new cities is not only done by, for example, conquering or integrating a free city that you find, or conquering an enemy city that you find. You can obviously also build your own. If I want to do that, I need to take my Lord character, which right now is Wulfric, bring him into the area or the province where I want to build a new city. And once he's in this province and I click on it, we get the option to build an outpost. Now, it takes a couple of turns to build an outpost, and once you do, there are a couple of kind of defensive structures and stuff you can start to build on top of the outpost. Bam! But once that's done, you can then begin to think about upgrading that outpost into a fully fledged city. Now, it is quite expensive. It does take quite a while to get these new cities up and running. They're going to be quite vulnerable to attack, so you want to make sure that the area around them is being protected at least somewhat while the new city gets established. And you also, most importantly, don't want to be doing this too close to your other cities. Like this city right here, Hartheim, will generally expand into pretty much all of this area around here eventually. And so you kind of want to give your new cities room to grow, right? Make sure that they're placed in nice, good, strategic new locations, and not too close to any of your existing cities. So just experiment with these. It's just worth noting that this is how it is done. If you skip the tutorial or click through this part of the tutorial and are not sure how to build new cities of your own, this is how it is done. First, by building an outpost, which I can keep track or abort the building of the outpost, keep track of how well it's doing by just clicking on the province. And like I said, it's going to take a while to actually build that and get it up and running. But that is how it is done, and you can then upgrade this outpost into a city at a later time. But alright, that's where we're going to conclude this video, boys. Thanks for watching, everybody. If in doubt, keep track of all of your notifications here on the right of your screen. And they won't steer you too far wrong. They're just going to notify you of things that you need to do to get the most out of your turn most of the time. But things like, you know, the exploration and where to build new cities and what spells to pick up next with your research and stuff, these are really going to be up to you, man. So have fun with it, you know. Just explore as you go, roleplay it up a little bit, and yeah, have a grand old time. So, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you all enjoyed, and shall catch all of you guys in the happy next little Age of Wonders video.